Welcome to the Young Hearts Run Free podcast, Dave Moulding. How are you doing this evening, Dave?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you guys?
I'm very well. Stephen?
I am also very well. My heart is full.
Good man. Okay, right, Dave. We always think, well, actually, a wee bit of context first of all. The reason you're sitting where you're sitting speaking to Stephen and I is because of a acquaintance that we all have.
This is true.
To you, that acquaintance is Melanie Sykes or Mel
Indeed.
Sykes. To us, that is the Yorkshire
The
Correspondent.
Yorkshire Correspondent.
And then, so that's what's brought us here together. Mel being the person that brought us together. More on Mel in a wee while and her involvement in the chat that we're going to have. But we always like to get our guests to do a wee bit of an intro for themselves to both Stephen and I and our listeners. So let's start at the beginning. Tell us, Dave, what got you into the world of running and how your running journey has evolved since way back then?
Okay, wow. Well, firstly, thanks for having me. It's much appreciated. Now, I would say I was spectacularly average at all sports, including running, okay, as a youngster. But I really enjoyed it, okay. My dad was super sporty. He was black belt in taekwondo, used to do sportives back in the day, running to and from the gym, all that kind of stuff. So it seemed kind of normal to, dip your toe in something in the sport world without it feeling like a big deal. And he always used to do a local 10K. So I live just near Blackpool, on the Sunshine Coast. So there's a local 10K that's relatively busy. I say relatively busy, maybe a couple of thousand people, which feels quite big. And yeah, I'd tag along and watch this, and then I'd, start doing a couple of runs, maybe in my mid-teens, to want to be able to do this run. And yeah, no, I don't think I called it training. It was run for 10 minutes one week, run for 20 minutes the next week, 30 minutes the next week, and then we'll see how we get on type thing. So yeah, enjoyed it. Wasn't particularly good or stand out, anything like that. Just really enjoyed it. Then I went college, university, and entered the unhealthiest, least fit period of one's life, which I don't think is a new story for anybody. But yeah, it was just one of those times where that was absolutely on the back burner. I'm not sure if my studies was the thing at the top of my list either, but yeah, running certainly wasn't. But it was one of those things I was always kind of drawn to, still wanting to come back, even though I was spectacularly unfit. Let's come back and do this. It was all like I wanted to make sure I did this fun run every year, even if I was in no shape to run or do anything really. So I sometimes do it in fancy dress because that's a good get out, isn't it? You don't need to be fit if you're dressed as the Stig. That's kind of all right. No one can tell it's you. So yeah, did that for a few years. And then once I got back from uni and got settled, house, part, that kind of stuff, we'd had our first and only child. I think I was 25. And I was just doing all the normal stuff. Again, fitness kind of on the back burner. Started getting back into a bit of football. Realised that was a mug's game in your late 20s. Far too many sprained ankles to want to do anything with that. And just decided I wanted to get fit and do something. And I'm not sure how or why this is what it was, but triathlon was something that had been in the background. And this is like 2012, 13, something like that. So I just went all in, bought a book and started to train for an Ironman, gave up booze, gave up going out, and went fully committed to getting into something a bit more athletic and yeah, not wanting to be a young but unfit dad, all that kind of stuff. So that's what segued me into running. Running came on from doing triathlons, and yeah, technically my first marathon was as part of a triathlon. I don't know if that counts, but yeah, that's what got me to thinking that, you know, maybe running is something that I could enjoy and want to do a bit further.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Stephen, you have any initial questions?
Did I mishear you saying that you were dressed as the Stig?
yeah, for a local 10K. Yeah.
Okay. With a helmet on.
Yeah, like a complete geek. Made a helmet out of like paper mâché and a visor, and yeah. And I was doing it with some friends and just turned up. Didn't tell them what I was going to be. Just turned up.
I love it, man. Is a paper mâché helmet less hot than a real motorcycle
absolutely.
helmet?
Yeah, it was super light.
Yes, right, okay.
Yeah. Why you test that out? Would you even test that out, like, to do the comparison?
I did. Well, all I know is I spent an hour wearing it doing a fun run, and then about 8 hours wearing it in the pub. That's how that went.
Love it. Sorry, I was just clarifying that my ears hadn't deceived me.
No, you were accurate.
Sorry, my question was, in your opinion, your best and your least best discipline at triathlon?
Oh, without a doubt, swimming is the least performance, least enjoyable, worst to train, all of the above. Swimming ticks all of the boxes for being the worst. Yeah, without a doubt. And at the time, cycling was my best.
Yeah.
Which worked quite well because that's the biggest chunk. And I wasn't training cycling; I was just cycling to work. But work was quite far away, and built up quite a good base fitness on the bike without really realizing. So yeah, that was pretty handy. But yeah, swimming is the pits.
Okay, I think that seems to be the standard, doesn't it, for most people? And you mentioned football. Anytime somebody mentions football, Steve and I are big football fans. Who is your favourite team to support, and what player did you envisage yourself as when you pulled on that strip?
Okay, so I'm a Manchester United fan, and I'll be 40. I'm 42 this month, so I've lived through some wonderfulness and some not so greatness of late. And I say of late, it's, you know, bordering on 10, 15 years now. But as a kid, Mark Hughes was my favourite player. Sparky had a cat called Sparky back in the day. Volleying everything in at 100 miles an hour was always what I wanted to do.
You had a very good relationship with Chalky McClare.
Indeed.
Scottish international, So that's
Indeed.
A brilliant era. So your late teens into your 20s was a fantastic time for Man United, wasn't it?
It wasn't even a question. We planned our nights out knowing that what the result was going to be. There was no getting in the way. It was happening. And you never think it's going to end, you know. And you joke about it, you know, being the good old days, and it's like, wow, it's a bit of a change now.
So we'll leave that there.
Thank you.
Any football fan will have that image of Mark Hughes doing that sort of trademark volley type of thing.
Short.
Always do.
Bit of a perm thing going on. Yeah, he was the man.
Currently the Carlisle manager.
Yeah, absolutely. And still got his hand in.
Vanarama. Brilliant. Love him. How do you plan your Saturday nights now that Ruben Amarin's in charge? Is it a different thing?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult. The best thing is to avoid Saturday afternoons and just let it be a surprise.
That's a solid approach, Dave.
Yeah, it seems to work.
Oh man.
Listen, it's all swings and roundabouts, and it cycles, isn't it? That's what happens. It cycles. Yeah.
Moving on back to the topic of what we're here to discuss. Otherwise, we'll have a football podcast for the next hour and a half, which maybe we'd go doing something okay with some, but not with most. What? So you said that your first marathon ever was during an Ironman. Is that did I pick that up right? Yeah. So that running experience of the triathlon, how had your running evolved in terms of by that point? Were you enjoying running? Is that a stretch?
Maybe not in that first year. I think there's just so much going on. If you're doing like 10 sessions a week, all little bits of stuff all over the place, so it's just it just takes over. So you're not really enjoying any of them. You're just ticking it off and getting it done.
Full-time job.
A little bit, yeah, with a full-time job, which is weird.
Yes.
But as I did triathlon for about 5 years, and as it progressed, I found myself getting, being better at running whilst I was only giving it a third of my time. So I was thinking, okay, this is pretty good. If I eventually think about just doing running and doing it all of the time, then that means I'll be brilliant. That bit didn't quite happen, but I still enjoy it all the same.
Okay. And then, so triathloning evolved into. Do you still triathlon?
No, not at all.
Is that the right term? Do you triathlon? Do you still do triathlon?
Yeah, I'm never quite sure. I've never felt
an Ironman tattoo.
No. I always felt a bit uncomfortable with all of it, really. I don't know if it sounds, I don't know, or it seems like one of those things that's a bit out there and brash and stuff. So where I never really, like wanted to wear the coat, the hat, the jacket, the all type of thing.
Wonder if it's,
but yeah,
do you try? Wonder if it do you do triathlon?
I'm not sure.
Do you triathlon?
I don't know. And I've always felt uncomfortable calling myself a triathlete as well. I've never really wanted to say that or an athlete, but any of those really. Yeah, I don't know.
However, where I was going was when did the bike and the swimming, is that a wetsuit thing? When did that get put away?
When did that get put away?
And then running became the predominantly preferred. So activity.
one of my running friends, one of my triathlon friends, I'd done a couple of races that she'd done, and she would live local to me, and we knew similar people and stuff. And then she did one and went, yeah, I think I'm done, and then helped out at a couple, but then slowly was like edging herself away. And she'd done Lakeland 50, maybe 2017, something like that, 2018, one of the red t-shirt years. So it kind of like made me raise an eyebrow or two. And then I went to support her doing a Lakeland 100. And I was like, yeah, I think this is for me. And I was out, I'd entered, you tend to have to enter an Ironman a year at a time because they used to sell out, a bit like the lap and stuff now. So I'd entered for 2019 to do Bolton Ironman because it's local and nearby. I didn't really have a thought about which one I wanted to do. And I was just out on a training ride in like the February. And I just ended up sitting down, getting my food out, and just having a bit of a look around and like enjoying a bike ride instead of looking down and trying to hit whatever numbers I was meant to be trying to hit. And I came back and I said, I think I'm done. I think I'm done with this now. I said, I think I fancy doing a bit more just the running like you do. And she said, well, do it then. So and that's it. Sometimes that's all you need, isn't it? So I emailed Ironman and I got, I think it was half my money back because it was relatively late on. So I bought a running pack and some poles and entered to ultras for the May time.
Okay.
Brilliant segue, because one of these ultras was the first running of one of these ultras, wasn't it, Dave?
Yeah, the lap. That was one. Yeah, that was that was really good.
First ever lap.
The first lap, yeah. Can't remember when it was now. Was that might have been 2019, maybe. And I've got no idea which way round.
Well, it was September, so September's counterclockwise, or it is now.
Is it?
I'm assuming it'd be the same. Yeah.
I remember. Yeah, that was a good one. And yeah, really good event. Really low key at the time, that one. I think that might have been my second event. It was that low key that we put our tent up outside the YMCA at Lakeside, and he just said, "Yeah, just stick it anywhere over that side." And we put our tent up, and he came back and he went, "He pitched on the route." He went, he said, "We're running past here tomorrow." And I said, "You're joking? Do we need to move it?" And he went, "No, it's all right. We'll just narrow it a bit." So there's a little bit where everyone had to squeeze in, but luckily there was only 100 people or so.
That's brilliant.
Back then.
That's brilliant,
but yeah, I think
I can also see in 2019, in May of 2019, you did the Keswick 50k trail race. Yeah.
Yes. So I think that was officially my first something. I entered the Keswick Mountain, the Keswick 50k and a GB Ultras 24-hour at Winlatter Forest, early June. And they were my first two tastes of the outdoors that wasn't just tarmac.
Brilliant. So you obviously liked that, eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not doing things by halves, is it? It's kind of...
I don't know what this is, but it's quite consistent. It happened with the triathlon stuff.
Someone set the couch.
I did a relatively flat one. That first one, a really nice one. Everything's all hunky dory, and then the next one I did was Wales, because I was like, right, what's one that's a bit going to be a challenge, which is swimming in the sea and hills on the bike. And I don't know, it's one of those things, isn't it? Sometimes when you have a go and you think, right, well, that went okay. How can what's next? And yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. Be nice to just maybe relax a bit every now and again, but yeah, it's good to. I think ultimately you're trying to push yourself because you want to find out not maybe how good you are, but how far you can push yourself, or what you can do or capable of, etc. I never really felt like that was something to shy away from. I always just thought it was something to kind of lean into and find out. And yeah, we can do loads of cool stuff that's fun with friends and everything, which is genuinely amazing, and you'll enjoy all of it. But sometimes being in that place where it is a bit tough and you've got to make that choice to carry on, that's kind of a different little world that we sometimes end up in, isn't it? Which is, yeah, type 2, I think.
Well, when we've got you then, you mentioned about Lakeland 100 and your pal that said, just do it then. What was your pal's name that said, just do it then?
So she's called Jo Adams.
Where's Jo from?
Jo's from Belfast.
That's a good old Irish attitude. Just do it then, isn't it?
Yeah, she's good. She said it very bluntly. For most of these things, she's a brilliant sounding board for any of this stuff.
Because in July 2021, you rocked up for the Lakeland 100. What was your experience? I know we're here to speak specifically about something bigger than that, distance-wise. But a lot of our listeners, they'll now be thinking about 2026, Lakeland 50 or Lakeland 100. What was your Lakeland 100 experience like, Dave?
Wonderful experience. It was beautiful sunshine weekend in Keswick. So down early, tent up, all that kind of stuff. Family with me. My best friend was doing the 50 at the same time, so it was like, we were all camped up together. It ended up okay. I set off. I did the typical, maybe male thing of going too quickly. Okay. It was sunny, loads of people, atmosphere, all that kind of stuff, and set off far too quickly. I was with Anna Troop for a short amount of time, and the hilarity of her saying to me, I think at the moment, half of the men's field are on for course record, almost scoffing at people going off too fast. And I'm laughing along, not realising that I am one of said men who's gone off far too quick. So I had a mini meltdown early. You know, when people have their hard times, like, you know, middle of the night or next day, I was 5 hours in and I was sat dunking custard creams in orange squash in a barn, trying to bring myself back to life, which worked. And I bumped into a gentleman called Ian Boardley. Now, I don't know if you know this gentleman. Well, my first question was, have you done Lakeland before? Because I was thinking, if I can find someone who does this stuff a lot, this is handy for me. And he said, this is my 9th time. So mentally, I've just turned off any thought of looking where I'm going, and I've gone, this is amazing. You'll do for me. And I stayed with Ian for the rest of the race. So I met him at like 11 p.m. on the Friday, and we finished together at about 10:30 the next day. Yeah, amazing. I'm tempted to go back at some point. But yeah, I had such a all-round lovely time that I don't want to go back and have a horrible one.
Yeah, don't want to ruin it.
And the thing is, if you go back and get that second finish, you're then tempted to think about 5 for that bit slate, aren't you? You know what I mean?
And I do generally try and do new stuff. My thought is trying to do new stuff. I've gone against that with a couple of things. But generally I'd like to try. I don't want to get into a bit of a hole trying to chase something that might not actually be worth chasing anyway.
You've got a sub 30-hour finish, sub 29-hour finish, 28 hours, 48 minutes. That's a fantastic day out, man. That's brilliant, isn't it? So
Howard on rice pudding from Dalemain. That was the key.
Secret weapon.
I think we got to Dalemain about 9 a.m. and there was quite a lot of stewards on hand, so we just kind of got one each, and she just kept bringing me rice pudding. And I put a shoe on in between a bowl of rice pudding, and then I'd go to do my other one and say, would you like another one? And I was like, yeah. And this happened for about 15 minutes, and I was like, this is fantastic.
Brilliant. Little did you know that around about that time, Stephen and I were boarding a bus in Coniston to come and run the Lakeland 50.
Oh, was that right? Brilliant. My
2021,
my pal did it that year.
That was the incredibly warm year.
Yeah, it was warm.
It was warm. Yeah,
it was warm.
Degrees.
It was warm. I think I wanted to stay up for him to finish. My mum was playing mum, telling me that I needed to sleep. So she woke me up when he was due in. I think he finished about 2 a.m. But yeah, the marquee was so hot. So hot, that marquee. It just feels lovely and warm and comfortable. And then you take 2 steps out of it and you're shaking like you wouldn't believe, and you need to get in a car or a van, within seconds.
Yeah. So you're thinking about going. Will you go back that year,
by the way?
I think I might. In a couple of years, not next year, obviously, because I'm not in it for next year. But yeah, I would like to. Okay,
listen, we're here to speak about Race Across Scotland. Yeah, I want to get to that. But on the way to Race Across Scotland, you've done some other stuff. You mentioned before we started recording that you've done the Sri Chinmoy track event. You did that 24-hour track event. You've also had a brilliant dabble in a multi-stage event called the Dragon's Back Race. So,
I did have dabble. So yeah,
you're up in the ante all the time here. You're a bit of an adventurer and a bit of a sadist, I think, Dave.
I did just about a healthy mix, I think.
Pushing the boundaries.
Yes. Yeah. It's kind of, I don't know. You're trying to find something that excites you, something that you're happy to get stuck into the training for. And it's just when you speak to people, isn't it? It's very rare that I can find out about something. And for me, the killer is if you go and watch something, well, that's like, you know, that's exactly it. You're in. To the point where I've done it a couple of times now, where I've maybe helped out at a race, supported at a race, and I've got a pal, Darren, who just writes underneath whatever status, oh, I know where this is going. I know what's going to happen next. And it tends to be the thing that happens next.
Okay. Let's go to Portpatrick. Let's do that, right? And let's bring in the glue that was the support crew. We've mentioned about Mel. Who else was there? Mel and who else?
So Joe Adams, the one who started me off.
Just do it, Joe Adams.
Just do it, Joe Adams. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So they were the two that they were the crew.
I have a precursor question. Where did you bump into Mel? Was it triathlon?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
So we were. Do you remember when Twitter was all a bit friendly and nice? Like,
yeah. Quaint.
Yeah, that era of Twitter, and there was just quite a few of us runners that were, I was triathlon-ing at the time and whatever, and I'd spoke to Mel quite a bit, and then we both ended up doing Ironman Barcelona in 2018. So did a recce with her, swim cool, all that kind of stuff. But then we started off. Yeah, that's when we properly met, and started off in the swim together, did our own bikes, and then we're high-fiving each other on the promenade doing the run, because we were pretty similar times. So that's the first time. I really got to know Mel. So that's quite a while ago now, and then we've just kind of kept popping up in ultra stuff ever since.
Brilliant, thank you.
And did Mel and Joe know each other, or was that a new friendship?
This is the brilliance of it, and also maybe the lack of thought of me just pulling two people together and going, yeah, you'll be all right to spend a week with each other. Within you've got 4 square meters to get to know each other for a week. So surely that's enough. So no, I think they'd met once at a race that Mel recommended called 10 Reservoirs in Saddleworth. But it was only a brief hello type thing. But yeah, every time I saw them, they seemed like they'd known each other for 15 years. Which is great. In this kind of world, it's nice, isn't it, when you can just bring people together?
Yeah, definitely. And that 4 square meters, is that a van?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So whose van is it?
I hired a van.
Okay.
Hired a camper van. I'd supported Joe doing this race 2 years previous to me doing it, which was me seeing that was the reason that I thought I might want to do it. And we'd done Airbnbs and stuff along the route for that one, and it felt like there was some other people who did it in a camper van, and that felt like an easier way to do it. So that was why we went with a camper van in the end.
Brilliant. And just to set the context, the race across Scotland starts in Portpatrick on the west coast.
Yeah.
You then traverse 215 miles across Scotland to end up in Coburn's Path Village Hall on the east coast, and the cut-off time, the whole thing, is 100 hours. Easy, right?
Sounds it, doesn't it, on paper?
Yeah. So the race started with something like 6 a.m. or 8 a.m. on the Saturday, wasn't it?
Yeah, 6.
Take us there, Dave. Take us to Portpatrick at that time.
Okay. Happy with. Yeah, logistics stuff was all cool. Little bit of a faux pas on my part, realising that 3 of us sleeping in the camper van might be a struggle the night before. Luckily, Mel knows everybody, so she had a spare camper van provided by another running friend next to us, so that was all sorted. But yeah, I felt fine. I felt happy with what was about to happen. I'd got everything I needed, and it's quite a comfort knowing you've got people in a crew, because it doesn't really feel like it's just you doing your thing. I felt like I've got them, almost whenever I need them, even though you're not allowed to see them on the first day until you're the third aid station, so 48 miles in or 46 miles in, which felt weird, but it was like we're doing the lap before we even get to the crew.
Why can't you see them? Is that because of just the logistics of the roads and stuff?
The first 2 aid stations are quite remote. Okay. So I think they tell you that you can't, there's no crew at those 2. So I think it's just I think it's being mindful of landowners and all that kind of stuff, isn't it? And hopefully, if you're well tooled up, you're not going to need them straight away anyway. But yeah.
So how was that first bit before you met your crew?
The first bit of everything's brilliant, isn't it? It always feels amazing. I've set off thinking, that I'm doing a pace that's, manageable, and you end up running with somebody, and you might not realise you're running a little bit maybe quicker than you thought. But no, that first day was, up until dark, was amazing. Meeting a few different people, chatting away. No one's problem solving because there's no problems yet. It's all just, high fives and isn't this the best thing ever? And then, a kind of reality hits, and you start, you get to nighttime and you go, all right, we're doing something here. It's head torches on, it's coats on, it's through the night. And yeah, I'd ran with the guy for most of the afternoon, and then I came into an aid station with the crew at I want to say 10 o'clock at night. Got some food, and I said, Mel, this guy I've been running with, he said he's going to hang around for me. Have you seen him? She went, no, just go. And I went, okay. So I just did what I was told for most of it, really, which is not a bad place to be. But still feeling okay, and didn't sleep. Decided not to sleep on the first night. That was always the plan, to just run through and just treat it a bit like a Lakeland 100. We'll just run through the first evening and go from there. And yeah, it's amazing how a new day and a new dawn makes everything kind of feel okay still. And my plan was to sleep. This was on Mel's advice, to try and do a 90-minute sleep of an evening. So I got to the van at 10 p.m. on night 2, and that was me getting my 90 minutes and then changed and back out the door for midnight to carry on. And you feel like a child. I'm asking her if I can have 5 more minutes on my phone before I go to bed. And she's like, no, get to bed. We're not listening to you anymore. But it was good. It's after a race, or even during, you want to almost talk about it, so you can rationalize what's happened and everything else. So that's what I was trying to do with Mel and Jo every time I saw them. But they weren't. It wasn't the time. There wasn't the time for that. But they were like, "We're trying to feed you. We're trying to sort your feet out. Do you need to get changed? And you need to go."
Though the thing is, they've had all day to plan what's going to happen when you come into that checkpoint. And you come in and you want to talk about that. No, that's not in the script. But nobody's told you the script.
No.
Also very handy having Mel. I don't know what Jo does for a living, but having Mel for foot care.
I mean, could you plan it any better? It's
you're a clever man, Dave Moulding.
Not sure if that's the case, but it certainly fell into place, and was the ideal pair. I'm sure if they were available, they'd be getting bookings for races in the future. But yeah, a wealth of experience, and then added bonus of a bit of foot care as well. And there was no there was no gingerly approaching feet or anything like that. It was like socks off, let's get stuck in, get them sorted, back out. And I'm like, okay, this is happy days.
Yep.
Yeah, really good.
You mentioned sleep, 90 minutes of sleep. How did that plan, how did that work? Or did it work for you?
Well, yeah, it was probably not the only thing that went well, but it was certainly one of the things that worked well. And I've never done a continuous anything like that. I kind of knew I could do it a night, but I didn't know how that would play out over multiple. But yeah, it seemed to really work. So I'd do the 90 minutes like about 10 o'clock, and then you're changed, fed, and back out of the door for, say, midnight. And you kind of you're awake for those hours, and it's not far until the sun comes up. That's another way, your body kicks in and starts livening up. I will say, to go with it, I supplemented it with about a 15-minute afternoon nap, just on the side of the road. Twice I did that on like day 3 and day 4, just when I felt a bit tired and everything else was kind of, feeling a bit hungry, feeling a bit tired, feeling the niggles, that kind of stuff. I just took 15 minutes, cap over my head, running pack as my pillow, iPhone on my chest, 15-minute timer, and yeah, it worked wonders. It's amazing how you can wake up.
We hear about these trail naps, and I think people, certainly on multi-day events, you hear about people just lying against fence posts or wherever they are and doing that. How were you fueling yourself? Well, I know you've got the van and you can restock and stuff, but I've recently, for me, my appetite goes after 7 or 8 hours. How are you? Did your appetite stay with you, or have you got to work at it?
I'm pretty greedy, which is good. My problem is, and I guess it's maybe lots of people's problem, too much sugary stuff doesn't always end well. And yeah, it's good for energy and everything else. And I try and I had Tailwind in my bottles nearly every time, as well as Coke. And I got bored of Tailwind quite quickly. I think next time I would do that interchangeably, maybe just Tailwind for the night time and then the daytime away from it, just so that it wasn't the same taste all the time. But I ate real food in the checkpoints, however frequent they are, like every 6 hours maybe, or whatever that is, and I pretty much have whatever was going, whether it was stew, pasta, mashed potatoes with baked beans and gravy and cheese, anything, pizza, anything like that I'm good for. But yeah, a bit got this thing for Rice Krispie Squares, because they've got a lot of bang for their buck in terms of carbs.
The marshmallow ones, the plain one.
Yeah, marshmallow ones.
Is this the shop bought ones or homemade?
Oh, shop bought. Yeah.
Covered in chocolate?
No.
Sorry, the naked ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're really good. But probably too much sports nutrition stuff led me to having to take, on days 3 and 4, quite a lot of bathroom breaks when there weren't bathrooms, which is par for the course. But yeah, that's just another little part of the puzzle to try and figure out for next time, I guess.
Oh, next time.
Did you have? Well, we're talking about fuel. How much strategy was that, or how much was it? It was almost, no winging it. That's the wrong word. But almost having options dependent on how you were feeling.
Yeah, I had lots of different stuff in the van that I could keep switching out. And generally, potato cakes as well. I was big on eating potato cakes. The little Warburton's potato cakes that you put in the toaster.
Do we call them tatty scones, John?
I would go with tatty scones. Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah.
Well, Joe called them potato bread. Being Irish, that was a thing. But she went, "I've got your potato bread for you." I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." Don't know your potato cakes. Which one day I might add, little containers of Fry Light that you would spray into a frying pan. Yeah, they cooked the potato cakes in P20 one day because they got the bottles mixed up. So I had some UV protected potato cakes.
Yeah, your inners need protection for the sun, especially in south of Scotland.
Yeah,
very important.
Yeah. So yeah, I did have a variety.
I've got another thought in my head entirely.
Did have a variety.
Okay. And were you thinking, like, around about, we speak a lot to people, and it's around about grams of carbs per hour.
Yeah.
Were you that scientifically thinking, or was it
not as much? From Dragon's Back, I still had the timer on my phone, on my watch, every half an hour to eat. Okay. And everything I took was about 25 grams of carbs.
Okay.
So if you eat whatever you've got with you, if you eat 2 of them in an hour, you've done 50 grams of carbs. And bearing in mind, I was washing Tailwind.
You're getting carbs from your drinks as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your baseline 50 and then top it up
50.
Okay.
So I was looking at 50 in a bit. And I think maybe the couple of times where I didn't do it was because it felt too soon. Maybe because it was continuous. Maybe I could have knocked that back to 45 minutes. Whereas when it was Dragon's Back, you're doing like an intense 12 hours and then you stop for 12 hours type thing. But yeah, so it was It was loosely planned.
Talking about loosely in the toilet breaks, did you still have your appetite when you were taking the toilet breaks? Did your appetite stay?
Yeah, more so.
Oh.
Yeah, more so. Made me hungrier. I suppose that's good in a way because you're trying to get calories back in. It was just a baking hot day. The last day was just a baking hot day. It felt like we were in a valley all day, and not the time to be
come back.
To sit down.
Come back from the last day. Come back a bit. How were you feeling? How was your body holding up? You mentioned about foot cares. We'll say foot care is getting taken care of.
Yes,
right. But we can speak more about that if you want. But how was your body holding up?
Okay, so first 2 days, great. And then on the 3rd day, really struggled with. I've had this weird injury in my leg, and I've had it twice before. And the doctor just put it down. It just said it was an overuse injury. Okay, so I got it when I did the track, and I got it when I did a thing called the accumulator. Just if you're do a lot of miles, I get this pain in my left leg, almost like top of my calf, but a bit more internal, and it just kind of stops my leg, just like contracts my leg, so it doesn't want to stretch out. Feels like it's really, really tight. Can't do anything. And I had a mini wobble in terms of I couldn't really I couldn't run. So that was like, okay, I can't run. And it was early morning. So I was kind of on my own, and I was just like, right, well, if I can't run, am I going to run out of time? And I'm trying to, fix a problem in terms of, okay, I never thought I was in doubt, in danger of missing the end of, falling out through cutoffs. But I'm only halfway through, and if I now can't run, what does that mean? So I had a tricky morning of trying to work out and like firefighting what I was going to do, basically. I texted the van, I didn't get a reply, which was probably good because it was a bit of an SOS going, we might need a new plan here, by the way. And I got no response, which is probably good because it just gave me a bit of time on my own to work through it. And I was like, right, I can't run. Okay, what can I do? I was like, well, the uphills are okay because that was more of a hiking uphills. Everyone's hiking the uphills. I can kind of fall down the downhills. That's okay. And almost came up with a little shuffle. If I had my poles in one hand, I could do a bit of a shuffle, to make a little bit of speed. And I was like, well, if I tag all them together, that's not that's probably not that bad. It's not going to be as fast as the first half, but, you know, I almost then looked at it as I banked a bit of time in the first half and I get to use that in the second half now because I'm going to be much slower because I can't do what I was doing previously. And yeah, I suppose it's to be expected that something maybe mechanical wise might not fire on all cylinders.
So, previous Dave had been kind to future Dave.
That's
yeah.
That looks like the way, doesn't it?
Yeah,
get some hours in the bank so we can give you an easier ending.
Still a long way to go, though. Was it? You're saying you were doing some problem solving. Maybe the universe shone and made you not connect to that van, so you could have a chat and you figure some things out. How was your head when that happened?
Yeah, without a doubt, my head is my strongest bit in all of this. And yeah, I had a wobble for a minute, just thinking I might run out of time. Yeah, I just wanted to crunch some numbers or do it with somebody else maybe who's got a better clarity of thought to just work out that we can still do it. But yeah, as soon as it wasn't nice, if that makes sense. I had quite a lot in the second half that was just a bit of gritted teeth, and just I described it to my pal as like toothache in your foot or toothache in your leg, just dull ache for, you need something else to kind of distract it. So you're almost like, I was doing stuff with my hands and with my poles just to try and take my mind away from where it was hurting. But yeah, I saw that I got to the van, ate and everything else, and they were like, yeah, almost like didn't acknowledge it, which was, I don't think it was in an unkind way. I think it was just, well, we're not letting you finish. And I understand, I said before we started, don't be like, oh, we think you're a degree hotter than you should be, we're going to pull you out. We're going to carry on until whatever happens and it'll be okay. So I was quite pleased that it was almost like a little bit of a non-issue for them. And there's lots of people doing the funky ultra shuffle towards the back end of a race anyway. So I didn't look completely out of place. So yeah, I pulled myself around quite quickly. And yeah, that was the thing that absolutely got me through.
Well, you said something that really piqued my interest. You said something like, in all of this, my head was my strongest thing. So that's saying to me that that you've got that. And we had a question, it was later on actually, it was about mental fortitude.
Mm-hmm.
And you used some of your mental strategies there. I was wanting to just kind of delve into it a little bit. You said about distraction tactics and things like that. I think it's something in ultra running that's obviously vitally important. And we speak about training your gut for food and training your legs for hills, but actually training your head to have the resilience and the fortitude to battle on. Is there anything else in that sort of area that you could share with us?
Yeah, I think as you get older, you get to know yourself a little bit better, don't you, as well, which is great. And get to know your brain a little bit better. Like, it's not attached to me. I know it is attached to me, obviously, but you get to know it a little bit better. And that, you come to learn that a lot of the time it can be very unhelpful, tell you lots of things that are very unhelpful at the worst time. And I think recognizing and acknowledging that and almost going, okay, nice of you to say so, but not today, thank you, type thing, is actually a good way to deal with it. Now, some of the things, we can all be, and have unkind things said, why are you even here? All this kind of stuff, and that's fine. And you can just kind of tell it to be quiet, normally have something to eat, and then that goes away. That happens quite often when you're sugar deprived. But sometimes it's true. You know, I had my brain saying, you've not trained as hard for this race as you have for other races. You've not spent any time on the course. And this was true. Didn't spend any time on the course, and I hadn't trained for this as hard as other races. But I was okay to own that and go, yeah, you're right. But I'm still here. I'm still moving forward. Thank you for your input, but not today, thanks. We're carrying on with what I want to do. Thank you. I think just not being scared by your thoughts. You're not your thoughts. Your thoughts don't own you. It's just a mishmash of stuff sometimes that's flying around, largely unhelpful. And I just try and say, okay, next.
I love how you're talking. You're having that discussion with your inner self.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
You know,
It's might be a strange way to do it, but
no,
yeah.
I think it's perfectly relatable.
I think you actually see people in ultras openly conversing and like they're talking to themselves. They're answering that question that their brain's asking them. But this is actually perfect timing as well. We often ask a special question from a special questionnaire. So I put an arm out to Mel Sykes. Mel gave me 2 questions because she's like that. One's for later.
Of course.
But something you just spoke about, she's saying, knowing what you know now, Dave, about Race Across Scotland, what would you have done differently in training?
Oh, absolutely strength work. I didn't do any strength work at all. And ultimately, my leg problem was from having one leg that's not as strong as the other. No, my left leg not as strong as my right. And in normal life, that's fine. You know, you're not going to end up walking in circles. You know, you just get over it, and it's fine. But I had a couple of warnings on them other races where this thing happened, and I should have fixed it, and I didn't. So I absolutely strength training, and yeah, I'm on it now.
Do you go to a gym, or is it something you do at home? Or
I do both. I've got some sessions, some YouTube sessions that I do, which is more conditioning as opposed to strength, and then do the strength stuff at the gym. That's more of the weight heavy lifting stuff.
Okay. Brilliant.
But yeah, that's definitely the one the thing I would change.
This is from me. This one. Do you regret not having a foot on the route?
I'm not sure. There was maybe 2 or 3 little bits where it cost me maybe 15 minutes at a time, maybe 4 bits that cost me 15 minutes at a time. Couple because it was dark and I couldn't see it, the obvious route, and then a couple of ones in the daylight that were just a little bit tricky. So that would have saved a little bit of time, but I guess maybe, you know, a couple of hours over 100 hours isn't the biggest thing in the world. I think for me, the bigger thing is trying to balance life, and spending 8 weekends on the course between, say, Jan and July, what would that have looked like at home, work, family, that kind of stuff?
It's a weekend away, isn't it? One trip's a weekend away.
Well, that's it. That's it. And I'm always kind of mindful that, because this was less technical, I thought it would be okay not to see the route.
Yeah. You mentioned about that time. How were you navigating? Is it posts, or you got it on your watch?
All the way. Yeah, I've got a spanking brand new copy of the map if anyone wants it. That spent the time in the back of my backpack. But yeah, watch, and it was fine. And there was quite big chunks where you're on your own because there's not tons of people in the race. But yeah, the watch was fine. Route was pretty fine. But yeah, I just felt with it being not super technical, it wasn't something that I needed to do to tick off mentally. Whereas, say, Dragon's Back, the first couple of days of Dragon's Back are so technical, I was like petrified that I wasn't going to be able to get over it in time because I can't descend. I've got a football injury that means I descend so slowly that I was worried about time. So I was actually testing that stuff out in the run up to Wales, whereas I kind of thought that this didn't have that, but it was a different challenge.
Yeah, but to lose 4 times 15 minutes over the course or that time. That's cool. That's that. So
Yeah.
it sounds for you that was the right decision. I can also, Joe's also sent a question in. Right? I'm going to quote Joe. Would it be a good time to put Dave on the spot about not providing us with tea bags? Because there definitely wasn't any in the van.
Yeah, I mean, this is the debate that's going to go on, okay? Because I was pretty adamant that I put an unbranded bag of Yorkshire tea in there, okay? It had been decanted into a Ziploc bag, and yeah, they didn't find them. I'm sure they were there. I mean, I don't want to split hairs. Certainly not with the people who looked after me for a week.
Okay.
For the benefit of those people not watching YouTube, Dave is visibly shaking at this moment.
I'm currently looking for Yorkshire tea.
Thank you, Dave.
These are the nitty-gritty questions on the spot, definitely.
I did send them both some Yorkshire tea to say thank you and a mug afterwards, you see. So maybe I've just admitted my guilt. I'm not sure.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, where are we on this fantastic question set of ours, John?
I think it might be worth, well, we can maybe mix this up a wee bit, because we can talk about, we're still talking about the race across Scotland. We've not got to the finish and what happens, but maybe we can talk about kit though.
Okay.
That kit question. What was the essential bit of kit or pieces of kit for a big event, Dave, that you must have had with you?
Yeah. Well, poles are obviously sensational for something like this. Because I've got a dodgy ankle, I end up using them as just extra, and almost like an extra arm when you're descending, just to try and get a bit of stability. But yeah, to just be clipping along with poles sometimes makes you feel $1 million. And certainly when you're hiking uphill. So I didn't use them until day 2. But yeah, poles were really good. I'm a big arm warmers fan. Instead of trying to put a jacket on or a long sleeve on all the time, like old cycling arm warmers, and just pull them up when it's a bit chilly, down when it's a bit warmer, bit of a sweat rag across the brow when needed. So yeah, that's
poles. Can I go back to poles? What type of poles? Are they collapsible or are they full?
Yes, collapsible. The black diamond, carbon black diamond ones. I've had them for maybe 7 years now. They're the first ones I bought.
What height are they? What height?
120.
They're a bit
120.
bigger.
I don't know. I'm not a very tall man, so that's ample for me.
So you're getting plenty of purchase with the 120s.
Plenty. I had to modify my pack. On my pack, I've got the Innovate Fast Pack 20, and it is sensational. The comfiest pack I've had, and plenty room for a big old day or week out as well. I put pole elastics on the bottom of it because they do have 2 bands for them, but they're too close to your back. So then they sit on the bottom of your back and rub. So I moved them right as far away as possible with little like scrunch ties on them type thing. And that worked really well. So yeah, poles, pack and arm warmers were the stars of the show.
I'm stuck on poles, man. Did you find that you put your poles away, or did you find yourself just holding the poles and carrying them?
Well, after I spent this time crafting these new fasteners on the bottom of my bag, I took them out on the end of day 1 and they never went back in. They never went back in.
It's just so easy to keep them in your hand, isn't it?
Just keep them. And do you know what? I only left them in an aid station once, and I only got 15 yards away. And it was only because I took a cup of tea out with me because Mel said, they sent me down to an aid station and she said, don't you be talking in there like you always do. She went in and out. So I was carrying my brew, and because I was carrying a brew, I forgot to pick up my poles. But yeah, I had them out all the time.
Aye, but you're almost that familiar with having them in your hand by then. You're like, shit, I'm naked.
That's it. So I realised pretty quick, which it was an awkward little out and back as well. So if I'd have forgotten them, it would have been a right pain.
Okay.
Race across Scotland, we say that that use the number 20 when you're talking about your backpack? Is that 20 litres? Is that what that stands for? And
is.
what's the essential kit like, or the kit list for Race Across Scotland?
Yeah, not big at all.
Okay.
It's like it's no bigger than Lakeland. It's at Lakeland without the hard cup.
Okay.
No semi-hard cup for it's not particularly big at all. But as well, even if it was, obviously mandatory kit's one thing, but I had other bits of kit in the van. So I had a big old waterproof coat and some big old waterproof pants if it went complete batshit. But I wouldn't carry them around normally. They would have been in a drop bag, but it was easier than messing about with drop bags for me to just leave any extras in the van. But yeah, the kit list wasn't big at all. I could have easily had like the old either Solomon 12 litre or I've had the Ultimate Direction 12 litre one before. Both of them would probably have been okay. But because I trained with this one, it was really comfy, and you can cinch it down if it's not completely full. So yeah, it worked really well.
What was on your feet?
Yeah.
What was on my feet? Speed Goat 4s.
Speed Goat 4s.
Yeah, I had 2 pairs of them. One a size bigger than the previous one, and then I had a pair of Innovates G300s maybe that I'd got off Facebook Marketplace in 2 sizes bigger than what I was. Now, disappointedly, I didn't get to wear the clown shoes at the end, which I was kind of looking forward to. But yeah, Speed Goats, Hoka Speed Goats I'd had just for comfort. I didn't think there was anything super technical. It was quite wet in the nighttime when we did a bit of sketchy descending, but I always knew I was always going to go super steady. I was never going to be trusting the grip of a shoe in anger ever. So yeah, the comfiest for the win. And I've had Speed Goats for a while, and they've been good.
Good for you. Did you change them? Did you go into the bigger ones?
I went into the bigger ones. I started doing my first go at waterproof socks, by the way. What a revelation that was. This was incredible. So I went into the bigger size because the waterproof sock's a bit bigger.
A bit chunkier.
Like doubles, yeah. But when Mel had been like an artist taping up my feet, okay, I put these waterproof socks on, go out for 10 hours, come back, waterproof sock off, and it looks like nothing's happened. It's all still there. And I was like, this is amazing. Why have I not done this before? So yeah, that was a bonus. Yeah.
When you put the waterproof socks on, was it raining and was it wet, or was that just protecting your feet?
No, it was everything was wet underfoot. Even when it didn't rain that much, mainly in the night. But it had rained in the week before, and there's lots of it that's just wet anyway. So yeah, it was just wet underfoot. So it wasn't like spine stuff where we're going like knee deep, or lakes in a day a couple of years ago when you could swim a few bits. It was only like ankle stuff. So they worked really well for that. So that's definitely one for the future for me.
What socks were you wearing when you weren't wearing the deck shells? What did you start off with?
That I had 3 different lots of Injinjis, so toe socks, in various states of threadbare from different races, and but I changed them quite often, just to try and keep on top of foot stuff. I've supported at a few races, worked at a couple of races, and I've always thought there's nothing worse than when you can see someone who's fit and able to carry on, but their feet are just completely messed up. I just didn't want to be that guy. And it was never going to happen with Mel in there anyway. But yeah, it was just something I was mindful of. So I took all the socks I own, I think.
Okay. Let's go to the final day, and I also want you to answer the question about, this is for after, how your feet were at the end of the final day. But let's first of all talk about the start of that final day, that morning of the final day. How were you feeling then, Dave?
Yeah, feeling pretty good. Really sunny day. When I'd had my bit of a wobble and couldn't run, and I had my little trail nap in the afternoon, I ended up bumping into a guy. You know, sometimes when you think you need to bump into someone because I'm normally the guy who wants to, lift everyone up and Pied Piper, let's do this. And I just felt like I needed that. And a guy ran past, and it took me about 20 minutes to catch him up. And he wasn't going, he was barely walking. And I was doing my little thing, caught this guy, and he had an American accent. And I thought I was being funny by saying, "Hey, where are you from?" And he said, "I'm from Boston, but I'm originally from Blackpool." And this kind of like blew my mind a little bit, because I'm like 3 days in, bit sleep deprived, and I'm like, "You're from Blackpool?" And he likes like new places near me, and I was like, "Oh wow!" So we got on straight away, and then we ran with each other pretty much to the end. Like, stayed with each other for quite a bit. We had like a 6-month friendship in 2 days. We got to the bit where you can just not talk quite quick, which is really nice. But also the bits where we could ask questions and chat if we wanted to. So it was like a mature friendship really quickly, which was really cool. So yeah, going into that last morning, I'd said, I think I got in at midnight, 11:30 for my sleep. And because I thought I was ahead of time, I was like, maybe I can sleep a bit longer. Maybe I can do 2 hours or 2.5 hours, and then I just panicked. I just went, no, let's just do the normal. And I want to be out of here for 2 a.m. And I think he'd said before he went to sleep, I think he's going to go at 3:30 or closer to 4. And I said, well, you do what you need to do. I'm going to be out of the door for 2 a.m. So I was out for 2 a.m. last morning, beautiful cloud inversion, bumped into these 2 young lads who'd like old schoolmates, and they were only like 21 and 22. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, lads, how has this come into your mind? We've had a whole life of stuff to worry about first, and you guys are, you tapped into this dead early and chatting to these guys. So it was the makings of like a brilliant last day. And then my Boston Blackpool mate, he didn't get up at 4. He went for 3 in the middle, and then he put a bit of a spurt on, and he caught us up by morning time. So we were reunited again. So yeah, the last day felt really cool. We got to the last aid station, sun coming down in a bit of a valley. The last aid station, you've got Norman dressed in a full kilt, serving full Scottish breakfasts. Okay, this is 8 p.m. and he's like, do you want black pudding on that? Mushroom, so the whole works. So it was all really, really cool. And at that point, you've got 21 miles to go. So we come out of there, and it's like downhill for a couple of miles. So it kind of tricks you, because, you've done a mile in 10, 15 minutes, and you're like, oh, another one done. You're thinking we're going to be finished for, 1 a.m. And then you get off the road and you get back on a farm track. And yeah, we had a bit of an issue with some cows in a field that wouldn't move. They wouldn't leave their food that was in the corner of the field. So we had to leapfrog around through an electric fence, and yeah, a couple of us got shocked and blood and bits and pieces, which was midnight, and it's like, we just want this done now. But we had to ring it in, and they put a diversion on for the rest of the race. So we were the last ones through this bit, so it was pretty sketchy. But it kind of got us into a little bit of a downward spiral. When you're close to the end anyway, everything feels hard, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But we were running knowing that the rest of the people behind us had been diverted, and we're going to be going 3 miles less, and we're going more. So a chunk of people went past us, like without us seeing them. So say whatever position we were, not that positions matter, but we were like, say, you're 61st, and then all of a sudden you're 82nd, and no one's gone past you, and you're like, oh wow. So it felt like we were going backwards a bit. So yeah, it was quite interesting that night section with me and my Boston pal, and then two other guys that kind of bundled together. And it was one of those where it's like, right, someone just took the lead every now and again, and we're like, right, we're running like tree to tree, lamppost to lamppost, whatever, just to try and like corporal style, just to get us finished. But because we thought we'd be finished at maybe midnight, 1 a.m., we didn't have that last nighttime sleep. Mm-hmm. So we're all getting a little bit, ratty, and we didn't end up finishing till like 5. So we were long overdue our little kip. And then you get to the coast and you see the sea, and you're like, this is amazing. And you've still got 2 miles to go. You've got to meander through, and for sleep deprived people, you're pretty close to an edge as well. And all me and this
a cliff edge.
Yeah, cliff edge. Yeah.
Okay. I thought like the edge of sanity. But
no, not maybe both. And it was just I keep saying to each other, just talk loudly. I'm sleepy. Shout at each other, keep us awake. If you're gonna fall left, because that you'd hit the grass and not the sea. And then meander through, get down. You end up in like a caravan estate. It's so surreal to think you've been in the woods for 4 days, then you pop out in a caravan estate, and then you run around the corner, a housing estate, and then a church hall, and you're like, oh wow, okay. Almost went the wrong way under an underpass. I was trying to follow my watch, and I thought it was to going over an underpass, and I rang Jo, and she went, I can almost see you, keep going forward. We came round the last corner, and there's like a bus shelter, and there was, I think it was a rabbit, like an adult-sized rabbit dressed up in a costume, sat at a bus stop. But it was real, like it was genuinely there. This is not just me. And I was like, what a thing to put that close to the end, when you're already thinking, you've been seeing faces and everything for like 2 days, and all of a sudden there's this like something out of an evil Beatrix Potter sat in a bus stop. And then you finish, and I don't know, sometimes it's kind of sad, isn't it? You kind of like, you've been in your little world, and you're suddenly thrust into thinking about real life, and I've got to get this camper van back by whatever time, and what am I going to eat, what shoes am I, where's my bag, all that kind of stuff. So it's even though at the time you want nothing more than it to end, because you're in pain, and you're struggling and all that kind of stuff, and then it finishes, and you're like, oh, it's kind of done now. That my reason for moving forward has stopped. So it's always a mix. I always find it a bit of a mix. I think it's going to be a big, I've never quite had that big emotional get to the end, and it's like elated. This is the most fantastic thing you've ever done. It's almost like a little bit of relief, and oh, okay, that's kind of done now. And then your mind starts thinking about real stuff, or maybe what you're going to do next.
Well, first of all, congratulations for completing Race Across Scotland. A fantastic achievement, quite brilliant achievement. But how were your feet?
Feet were great. So this is testament to Mel. Feet were fantastic, and then once left to my own devices, I managed to, from walking out in the garden and bits and pieces, left my feet uncovered because I wanted to get a bit of air and blah blah blah. So a little blister I had on one foot, got a bit infected, and I thought, oh, it'll be okay, it's nothing. Then as I'm generally getting better, the 3 days after, this foot was getting a bit more painful, and it had got infected, so I had to go and get antibiotics. And I was like, typical that I was left to look after my feet myself for what, a day, and this is what I've done. You've had them for a week, and looked after them brilliantly. But yeah, in good nick. Don't think I lost a toenail, which is good.
Brilliant.
So yeah, would recommend.
Yeah. Dave's got Mel's number if MD's wanting to speak to Dave. And Joe's.
That's the one.
Can I speak to you about cows? What was your thoughts on cows before this incident?
Generally okay. I was a little bit surprised that two of the guys had turned around and they'd said in the dark and said, "Are you all right, lads? Can you help us a minute? We've got a bit of a problem with these cows." And I thought, really? You know, two biggish lads? I thought, fine. And for some reason, because you just wanted to get finished, I was like bravado fueled. And I was like, yeah, leave it to me. So I've 3 steps forward, head torch on, you can see like 50 eyes looking at you. It's just hit all their eyes. And I'm like, oh, okay. This is not just 3 cows that aren't getting out of the way. And then you see all the horns and you're like, okay, let's regroup over here and come up with a better plan that doesn't involve walking through the middle of these cows. So generally all right, but that was just a little bit, bit of a tricky one.
Yeah. And how did you mentioned about going through electric fences and maybe getting shot. How, Stephen, sorry, you can remember the same question as me about how we navigate out of that field. How did you navigate out of that field in the dark?
Ran faster than the cows.
Well, we needed to go through this field, and there's a fence, okay, and they weren't for leaving because their food was there.
Yeah.
So there was another fence running parallel to us. So our thought was, if we can hop over this, move along, and then hop back, we've got past the problem, and we can carry on that way, and they're not near us. It was tricky. We got over it okay. We had a couple of logs pushing stuff down, and we were putting packs over first and then diving through. But it was one of those where it was everyone was charged. Sometimes it's just the top one, or sometimes when there's 2 at the top. So we got over okay. It was coming back. 2 of the guys got through, and then I got through, and I was then holding it for the final guy. So I've lifted it so it doesn't catch him. It's like it's touching my wedding ring, so that's like made a bit of a thing, which then means I've dropped the fence as he was halfway through, so it's hit him on the side. So he's like doubled over this way, and I'm like, oh god, I really don't want to have killed anybody mid run when I'm just trying to get to the finish. So yeah, it was one of. And to be fair to us, as a little group, we were like, okay, right, let's all sit down. I cleaned up, my hands. One of the guys rang it in. We made sure the other guy was all right, and we kind of sorted ourselves out. Which, considering we were, a bit sleep-addled and tired and just wanted to finish, we did pretty well. But it certainly woke us up anyway for a little bit.
I'd love to see the footage.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be. I've got a picture of me, my hand and the other guy at the time. But yeah, it'd be hilarious to see the footage.
Yeah,
we could maybe get AI to paint us.
We could get Scorsese on the go. We could turn this into something good.
Brilliant. How you mentioned about your wee bit of a foot infection. How has rest and recovery been after 215 miles?
Yeah, really, really good. In a way, that stopped me from doing anything, which was great, which is what you need. Even though you feel like you're probably okay after a week, you're not. You're hungry for a week at least, aren't you? And you're dehydrated, all those types of things. So it was good because it literally put me just sat down for a week. I couldn't do anything at all, which was brilliant. And yeah, maybe a couple of weeks. I tried a run, and then the leg situation wasn't quite right, so I gave it another week. And then I want to say maybe 3rd week of September, I was back to running, and I've put like 6 weeks. This is how sketchy my training was for Scotland. I've put my best 6 weeks together between Scotland and now, which is great for moving forward. It wasn't great for maybe what it was. So yeah, in a good place.
Brilliant.
Good to hear, man. Good to hear. What's your best thing to do to relax and recover? What do you do to chill?
Currently obsessed with Van Build videos on YouTube. Just like another little world, isn't it? So yeah, I've not quite got the van yet, but it's all gearing towards something. So yeah, watching those, which then goes off into like little woodworking videos, that kind of stuff. Yeah, just picking up little hints, tips, skills while you're sat doing not a lot is that's where it's at the minute for me.
Sorry, Stephen. There you go. Sorry.
No, you go for it, John.
Yeah. Well, my question was going to be looking at Dave's running history. I think I used the phrase "upping the ante" when you were going like multi-stage, Dragons Back into Race Across Scotland. The question in my head is, what's next? Where are you going to go from here?
I'm going to St. Bees in Easter time.
Is that the Northern Traverse?
It is.
Ah, brilliant. Will you have a van by Easter?
No, none of that's allowed. But both Mel and Jo are both doing it as well.
Ah, okay.
But
so you're
they're
getting
not
out
be carrying my stuff.
You're getting out accruing for them by running it as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No crew allowed. So it's all it's a bit more self-supported.
Remind me of the distance of that, because that's right across.
I think it's 190, but climbing wise, I think the Lakes bit is quite punchy. St. Bees to Shap, that first 100k is quite hilly, and then it flattens out a little bit across the moors. But yeah, a little bit less in terms of distance, but I think a little bit punchier in terms of the route. But yeah, crew.
Is that the focus between now and next year? Is that
absolutely?
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Brilliant. Absolutely.
Remind me where that one finishes.
It finishes in Robin Hood's Bay.
That's it. Yeah, that was of Damien Hall Bendy Body.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah, get the lean. Get your lean on.
Get your lean on.
But then Damien went back. Did he go back and set a new course record on that this year?
He did. Yeah, he did. So I was crewing. So I'm working the event, volunteering last year. Earlier this year.
Yeah, this year. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was at the last aid station before the end. So yeah, Davo came. We saw Davo. He came in and had obviously a cup of tea and a banana, I think. At the 20 miles to go, I think you are at that point.
I think after that one, we spoke to Fiona Horsfield, who won.
Saw her.
Yeah. She had a brilliant run. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, so that's good. That's exciting. Do you think you'll have learned a lot from doing that crewing side of things?
Absolutely. Oh, check the doggy out. Absolutely. I learned lots from the crewing situation and lots from Scotland, which I think is going to should serve me well. The big thing I saw at Northern Traverse was, because of the time of year it is, which is end of March, early April, the temperature swing from day to night was massive.
Okay.
Whereas like a Lakeland 100, so you ran that hot year, you're just shorts and t-shirt all through. It's just kind of what it is. Whereas for these guys, it was going to freeze zero, or -1 of a night time, but it was really sunny and maybe 12, 13, 14 degrees in the daytime. So almost like a big swing. So kit was massively important, and both for people wearing too much or too little.
I think Fiona said actually the essential bit of kit for her, or her most favourite bit of kit, was a bucket hat for the sun during the day. It got so hot.
It was so hot, and we saw people who didn't want to. It gets annoying, doesn't it? Taking stuff off, putting stuff back on again.
Shedding layers.
We see people doing the daytime, and they've still got the waterproof pants on from the nighttime when it was cold, and they're just boiling themselves, dehydrating. Or you've got the guys who try and run through the night with your shorts and t-shirt on and get too cold and then can't warm up. So it really made the point to be on top of it.
And that comes back to what you were saying about the arm sleeves. They're a brilliant option.
Yeah, absolutely.
Up and down rather than off. So.
And kind of underused. You know, I've used them before, but you didn't. You know, it's always a bit of a undervalued.
I only got it. There were cycling ones. I only know them from cycling. Really, old Planet X ones that I've had for 10 years now, and.
Because it's a very popular thing you see, like Western states and stuff. They're putting ice in them just to cool down. You know, I'm not saying you need to do it. You could do that here as well, but that simple thing about you've pretty much got a long sleeve top on, but you've not.
Yeah.
You know, so
No, really good, really good.
Okay, Stevie boy, double D.
Double D in Young Heart Run Free terms, David, means dialect dictionary. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I seen the excitement on your face there when John said double D. It's a word or phrase, local dialect, something that you use that we're maybe not familiar with, and entry to the Young Hearts Run Free dialect dictionary.
Okay. Now, apart from obviously being northern, we can open the barm cake debate, but I'm guessing that's, you know, as a tale as old as time. But it is funny when, you know, you make new running friends and stuff, and you're just like, oh, I'm just going to have a sausage barm, and someone will go, sorry, what? Let's go. That's sausage barm. That's that. Surely you can get it from that. And they're like, no. What do you mean? But yeah, this is maybe not a local dialect thing. I guess it's more older words coming back that I'm a fan of, that I find quite fun, instead of just your normal expletives. So I'm big on pleb. Yeah.
Pleb.
Big on pleb. Yeah.
I've never heard of pleb for a while.
Big on pleb, quite like goon, but it's these older words that I'm a bit of a fan of.
Some of them have been cancelled. Those older words.
We don't say those ones, but I know I automatically know exactly what it is that you mean.
Okay.
But
pleb is a right secondary school one for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. So you're right back in that space. So imagine being called something that you got called 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
Brilliant. Pleb.
Oh, I love it. I've not heard that for years. I'm so happy I've heard it tonight.
There you go.
Love it.
Brilliant. Thank you.
John. Now, the final question, the musical one, and I mentioned that Mel had given us two, right?
Okay.
So I'm not sure if this is going to be the same answer. We have a Young Hearts Run Free playlist that we ask our guests to contribute a song or a track to share with all of our listeners, and it's very popular. I was speaking about it just after the chili at the weekend. So we're going to ask you for a track or a song for that, but let me just pose this question from our Yorkshire correspondent. If you could only listen to one song for the rest of your life, what would it be? It might be a different tune. So
okay, so for the rest of time, first answer would absolutely be Mr. Blue Sky by ELO. I think it's there's so much going on in that song. I think you fail to come out of listening to that song in a better place. So
definitely brilliant.
It's just one of those. So yeah,
it's a musical masterpiece,
isn't it? Just squashed into 5 minutes. I mean, if that was everyone's mandatory alarm in the morning, productivity through the roof.
So is that the same track? Is the track you want to add into the playlist?
No, that's a different one. The one I would like to put on, because I think this gets listened to so little, okay, but it's a song I listened to when, you know, some people like a really up-tempo, upbeat song at the start of a race to like get them in that zone. I've been on the way to a race before with Jo, and her partner put Rudimental on that loud. I thought my insides were going to fall out. Okay, and I was like, that's not getting me in the place. That's not what I need. It's the other end. You know, I want a bit of calm, serenity. And before I did that first Ironman race, I remember sat looking out at the water, all this busy transition going on. And I was just sat on the other side of it, no one around. And I listened to Sunscreen, Baz Luhrmann on my phone. And it was just, you know, it's just like a spoken verse almost, isn't it? And it was just wonderful. And it's one of those that doesn't come up on my playlist very often, but when it does, you know, it's pretty special.
Right. Stephen mentioned that to me no long ago. I mentioned something and Stephen said Baz. And we were both knew what he was talking about. It's an absolute fantastic bit of work.
Oh,
really
brilliant.
good. Thank you. Thank you so
Brilliant.
much for mentioning that, Dave. Stephen, we're going to put both of these tunes. We'll play out with Baz, but ELO's hitting the playlist as well. Yeah.
But I remember when I had that conversation with John, and then I went to add it to my own Spotify playlist, and I couldn't find it on Spotify.
Can we not?
Yeah. It's one of those. There's alternative artists in there, but the Baz one isn't there. Anyway, I shall scour.
We shall find it.
It'll be on like a movie playlist
something. Yeah,
on there. We'll get it on. But I've already added Mr. Blue Sky, so that's on.
Winner.
It's locked and loaded.
Winner.
Yeah, we'll get Baz on there as well, because that is it's a real antidote to the other sort of more high tempo stuff.
Absolutely is. Absolutely.
Love it. Thank you,
Dave. I'm absolutely delighted that Mel put us all in touch, and that also delighted that Mel and Jo were involved, and they're now pals because they've had that time together.
Exactly. I mean, and that part of this whole world, isn't it? This little ultra world that we're little niche thing that we've got going on. It's brilliant. Nice to,
You've answered lots of questions for me personally about socks, about poles, about cows. These are all things that feature in my daily mind, things that I think about. But I think you've also described. We did speak to, you might have even opened this season, Ian Bethune, who was the first finisher.
Yes.
Race across Scotland.
Guy with the beard.
Yeah. But you've given us a different insight. I loved your honesty about how things with your left leg played up a wee bit, but that mental fortitude that Stephen had a deep dive into with you spoke about that being the biggest thing or your biggest strength, and that is amazing. And it's one of the things when the body starts failing a wee bit, it's the mind and the heart that will get you through. And I think you're blessed with a big strong mindset and also a big heart as well. It's been absolutely fantastic. I love that you mentioned Mark Hughes way back at the start.
There you go. Who just thought Sparky's getting airtime, hey?
Yeah, there you go, man. There you go. So I'm going to hand over to Stephen to wrap the episode up. But thank you so much for your time, Dave. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
So, Dave, I didn't say this, but I had a good friend of mine who went on to me just recently that he signed up to do the race across Scotland next year. And I did ask him, I'm interviewing a guy who did race at Scotland this year. So he gave me a wee list of questions to answer, and you've answered them all just during the course of our event. So
happy days.
You. His name shall remain nameless because...
Of course. Of course.
But we'll find out in due course, potentially. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people sign up for that race and didn't actually make the start line.
Yeah, I think so.
Of the endeavour. I also want to say congratulations on conquering that race, because it's no mean feat. It's underestimated, I think. He said that it wasn't so technical compared to Dragon's Back, but it's something else entirely.
Yes.
And it can take people by surprise just how wet, soggy, boggy, and also steep some of that route is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, massive congratulations, and thanks for sharing your adventure with us. I think what my big takeaway is, and it's been bubbling away this whole last hour and 20 or whatever, that underpins everything that you do is around about friendships, connections, doing shared experiences. That always seems
All
to
of
bubble
that.
to the top, but it's
Without
been
a
just
doubt.
really, really
Without a
loud and
doubt.
clear. And those people, you know, and that you've made that, okay, whether it's on Twitter when it was a decent thing, whatever.
Yeah.
That you've made those lifelong connections with. It's brilliant, and I got a lot out of that, a lot of sense of that. So thanks for sharing all that, Dave. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely, more than welcome. And yeah, it is all about that. And this is another example of it. A couple of other people that you speak to, and then you see at events and all that kind of stuff. I think is only a good thing.